Hello and welcome back to a new edition of the Helix Stadium Quick Setup Guide. Today I'm going to show you how to set up a preset with a dual amp setup. It's very straightforward, easy to do, however there's a couple of things that one always needs to consider. Anyways, follow me along with this amazing device. And I have a little assistant here that needs his butt smacks, but let me walk you through how to set up your presets for a dual amp setup. Okay, so as you can see, this here is a finished setup that I have, and I use this for practice. I use this for simple rehearsals and some gigs where I don't have to work on creating a preset per song, right? So this is a general, it's actually a really good sounding and well laid out kind of preset with 8 snapshots. So as you can see here, I got my 8 snapshots, I labeled them, I added the color. And as you can see, I'm starting with my input, going into my volume, which is on this pedal. I'm going into the wah. The way I set it up here is for an auto wah, because sometimes I'm just too lazy, but you can always route it or connect it to a second expression pedal. In this setup, I haven't done it. Then we're going into a compressor, into an overdrive. That's my trusty 808, which I also use on my analog pedal board. I use the Maxon OD808 as well as the CP101. Anyways, we're going into a splitter AB, and then we have our clean setup here. That's the US Lux Black with the linked cap into a calligraphic EQ, and I'm using this to dial in certain frequencies that I need. Same thing goes for the distortion or overdrive side. We're going into the Brit 2203 with the link cap, also again with the CaliQ graphic EQ. And I use the CaliQ graphic because I only need a few spots of EQing, and if I use the Studio EQ, it literally is too processor intense to run on 2 paths. So anyways, the clean side, the 2A, goes into a chorus that that I have on. Otherwise, the first snapshot is just clean. Second clean snapshot is enabled with chorus, has a slightly longer delay and a little bit more of a lush reverb, for the typical set clean parts. Then we're going into a more overdriven amp. So I'm feeding my US Lux amp here, the compressor and the OD to get some decent distortion. And from there on, I switch over to the other signal channel or signal path. And now on this signal side, it goes right in here. I haven't put anything in here. I may at some point, but right now it just runs clean through and it comes out back and there. The only thing that has changed everything, of course, is set up for quick snap changes. And that means all the parameters that I need to change with my snapshot setup. And of course, now we're going, here's overdrive, and now we're going into the rhythm distortion parts. And these 2 last ones are leads with different delay or reverb times. So, it's all about, whatever I want to do in the moment. But everything is really well worked up, set up. And of course, don't forget, I also have, of course, my pedal mode, so I can switch over and manually override whatever I programmed. So I will show you now how the basic setup works, okay? So let's get started with simply starting playing. So let me dial this in, give me a second. All right, let's get started with the basic setup for your dual amp setup in a preset. So first of all, we're gonna choose new preset. Obviously, there's already a couple of templates here. I'm just gonna go with an empty preset. And that's what we got, right? So we got our single path A here and our single path B. Right now, the simplest way to do this is adding your split, right? So you have your split. Now, don't forget, we're not dealing with a split, but with an A or B kind of setup. So signal sent to A or signal sent to B, nothing in between. So we're just gonna go for a split. Later in the setups, of course, you wanna make sure that you're routing it, right? So I'm just gonna do this already here. Here's my snapshot 1. I'm setting it to route, right? And of course, I'm gonna make sure that this is disabled. So we're gonna get this. And now I'm just gonna load in my amp. So let's just say I'm going for a simple amp. So let's just, yeah, it doesn't really matter, right? So I'm just gonna literally do the same that I did in my previous. So again, linked, and I'm just gonna do this here. For visual purposes, I like to just keep those separated. Obviously, you can just load them in like this, right? So let's just do this. And then I'm just gonna go for, this amp, right? So I got those set up, linked. And then of course, I would recommend adding a graphic EQ to the whole thing, because you do need to dial in certain frequencies or dial out certain frequencies. Don't forget, loading in 2 Agora style amps will take some processing power. As far as I remember, you can add up to 12 blocks on each signal path. And that of course depends on what blocks you're using, right? So 12 paths or 12 blocks might not be all that you can get. Sometimes it might just be less. So I'm gonna go with the less processor intense effect block. So I'll do the same thing here. I'm always tempted to go home, but that brings us out of the screen. Anyways, so now we got this. Obviously, if you want to literally maintain 2 separate ones, you need to create a second signal path. The only way to do this really is to add a merge. So now we're merging. Now, if signal A and B goes along and it merges back to the output. That works really well, especially if you're using the same, let's say, delay and reverb setting at the very end of your effect chain, and they're just affected by changing parameters within the snapshot setting, right? So if that's what I have in the preset that I showed you, because it's less processor intense, and for what I'm using this preset for, I don't need separate types of delay or reverbs. But in case you need to create 2 separate lanes, you can just simply clear this and you get your separate lanes. Now we have to go into our matrix here. We get path 2A, and then we're going to move this here to path, path 2B. There you go. And now we have our signal split, right? So this still goes out 1 and 2, and this also just goes out. But I can load up my effects separately here for my clean, and I can load up my effects separately here for my distortion or overdrive channel. If I don't want that, obviously, I can just merge the whole thing together, right? So I'll just merge this. And as I said, you can, if you need more space, you just drag it. You can load up whatever additional effects you want. Let's say for the clean, we'll just go for, let's say modulate. I'm just popping something in, right? Don't mind me. I'm just, popping stuff in. So just to show you what you can do, right? And let's say we'll just do, I don't know, let's do some modulation here. Yep, let's do, all right, let's do a flange, whatever, you know what I mean. It doesn't really matter. So you can load this up. At the very end, obviously, let's load in our, I really like the dynamic hall. I think it's a great plugin. Anyways, and then of course the delay. And to be honest, I actually, really like the simple delay for a lot of stuff. Obviously there's other things, but in general, this would be like the quickest one for me to go. Oh, and of course I forgot. I should do this, of course, in stereo. I just totally forgot, because we're in the signal path. We're after our cap section. It should be stereo. Again, it's just examples, right? Of course, again, pop in a volume. Of course, that's the first in the signal chain, so that's mono. And if you want a wah pedal, and then let's see. And as you can see already, there's certain things already grayed out because I'm loading this up here with stuff. So let's just go for teardrop. And if you have 2 pedals set up, right, you know how this goes. You move your pedal, you're hitting this, learn controller, you move it, now it's assigned. Same thing for this thing, right? You are, you get, assigned a switch. I can't believe it. I keep forgetting certain things. It's so silly. We're here, of course, learn controller. It's because I want to do everything right and I can't get it done, right? So we got our thing here, we got our volume thing here. So this all works out great. So if you go over here, this works great. Here's my volume pedal, here's my wah pedal, and that pretty much is it, right? Obviously, you need to dial in all your portions, and don't forget, you need to enable your snapshot settings for the different effects. You have to add your values, and of course, save them according to your snapshots and add color coding if you like. But I'll show this another time. The same thing goes for switching on and off or assigning switches to the different effects, even more effects to a single switch, or the opposite. One switch is on while the other one switches off, etc. I'll do this in another video because all this is getting too long. You're probably wondering why I don't use the computer app. The computer app is great. To be honest, I really enjoy working on the unit with the touch screen, everything hands-on, touch and everything, much better than sitting at the computer and dialing in the sounds. I have no idea why. I really just enjoy that. This is it's a great tactile experience, and there's nothing that is overwhelming or super technical, complicated. You can just literally do and touch and work your way through it. There's no hidden menus, there's no complicated stuff to know or learn. There's certain things that are of course, with the programming of the software and the GUI, there's certain things that are just product related because of the philosophy for each product. But that's a thing you can figure out, as you go while you're getting familiar with the unit. So that's pretty much it, how I would set this up. So let me just go back to my setup, and this is the setup that I use for a lot of gigs when I don't really have to be very specific about programming anything. I would probably change delay times and put this on on my expression pedal. That way I can be a little bit more spontaneous. But that's literally all there is to it. As you can see, I'm cycling through my different snapshots. If I need to go into pedal mode, I'm in my pedal mode. I can do everything manual. And that's, a really useful feature to have, right? It goes back and forth, and it's just awesome. As I said, I love just working on the unit. I know I'm sitting on the floor, I'm like a 5-year-old. I'm sitting on the floor right now. I don't really care. I really enjoy this, and this has been such a wonderful experience, and the sounds and everything that comes with it. I've been just blown away. It's just, and I'm usually very, very mellow about like gear and stuff, but this really changed a lot for me in terms of modelers. Anyways, you can get this preset, and I'm gonna make a template out of it on my Patreon site. So I'm gonna put the link in the description, and you just go to my Patreon site. It is going to be free. Please hang out on my Patreon site, look at stuff, enjoy it. But this is going to be free for you to download, and let me know how you like it, and if the video, hopefully the video helped you in working these different things out. Yeah, so again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.